Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're diving into something that touches every single one of us, money. But we're not just talking about the numbers, the spreadsheets, or the math you might expect. Nope, we're going deeper into the psychology of money. Because when you think about it, money isn't just an equation to solve. It's this wild dance between cold, hard facts and our messy human nature. Our decisions about money, they're made far away from calculators, more like around dinner tables, fueled by ego, pride, fear, and the stories we carry from our past. This episode is inspired by Morgan Housel's incredible book, The Psychology of Money. And trust me, it's going to get us thinking about why we behave the way we do with our cash. So, let's jump in and explore the strange, human side of money together. Your financial DNA. First off, let's talk about why we all see money so differently. We're not blank slates when it comes to financial decisions. Our attitudes are shaped by this unique mix of where we came from, what our parents taught us, and the world we grew up in. Think of it like financial DNA. Take the stock market, for example. If you were born in 1970, your teens and 20s were all about the S&P 500 skyrocketing, almost 10 times its value. No wonder you might think investing is the way to go. But if you were born in 1950, you saw the market flatline during those same years, so you're probably a bit more skeptical. Then there's inflation. People born in the 60s lived through wild price spikes, so they're hyper-aware of it, while someone born in 1990 might not even blink at the word because inflation's been tamed their whole life. It's not just about the numbers we saw growing up. It's about how those experiences built our worldview. Every financial choice we make feels right to us in the moment because it fits the story we've inherited or lived through. Housel puts it perfectly. People do some crazy things with money, but no one is crazy. We're all just working with a lens we've been given, shaped by our personal history. And since there's no one-size-fits-all rulebook for managing money, who's to say what's crazy? The magic of compounding. Now let's shift gears to something mind-blowing. Compounding. You've probably heard of Warren Buffett, legendary investor, billionaire, all that jazz. But here's the kicker. $81.5 billion of his $84.5 billion net worth came after he turned 65. How? He started investing at age 10. That's it. Time and compounding did the heavy lifting. Imagine planting a tiny seed that grows into a massive tree, just because you gave it decades to stretch its roots. If you invest $1,000 at 8% interest, you've got $1,080 after a year. Next year, you're earning interest on that $1,080, not just the original grant. It snowballs, and the longer it rolls, the bigger it gets. Here's a fun what if to chew on. Say Buffett had been more like the rest of us in his 20s, spending on travel, maybe a sweet car or two, and only started with $25,000 at age 30. Even with his insane 22% annual returns, he'd be worth about $11.9 million today. Solid, sure, but it's peanuts compared to $84.5 billion. Compare that to Jim Simons, a hedge fund genius who's crushed it with 66% annual returns since 1988, way better than Buffett's rate. Yet Simons' net worth is $21 billion, a fraction of Buffett's. Why? He didn't hit his stride until he was 50, giving him less time to let compounding work its magic. Time, not just skill, is the secret sauce here. Why we love pessimism. Okay, so why are we so obsessed with the bad news about money? Stock market crashes, economic doom. They grab us way more than the slow, steady wins. It's human nature to lean into pessimism. A 40% market drop over 6 months? That's headline material. A 140% gain over 6 years? It barely registers. Good things take time, and we're not wired to notice the slow grind. Think about medicine. 500,000 lives saved every year in the U.S. thanks to progress over decades. But a plane crash or a terrorist attack, that's what sticks. There are tons of overnight tragedies, but overnight miracles? Not so much. The trick is reminding ourselves that, despite the setbacks, things tend to get better over time. So next time the news is all gloom, take a deep breath and zoom out a little. Luck, risk, and a little humility. Let's talk about two sneaky players in the money game, luck and risk. Picture this. It's 1968, and out of 300 million high school-age kids worldwide, only 300 went to Lakeside School in Seattle. That school had something insane, a computer, a teletype Model 30, that even grad students didn't get to touch. One of those lucky 300? Bill Gates. That 1 in a million shot gave him a head start that led to Microsoft. He said it himself, no Lakeside, no Microsoft. But there's a flip side. Kent Evans, another Lakeside brainiac, was just as brilliant until a freak mountaineering accident took his life before he could graduate. 1 in a million luck lifted Gates. 1 in a million risk sank Evans. It's like sailing a boat. You can steer the rudder, adjust the sails, but the wind and waves? They're out of your hands. Hard work and smarts matter, but luck and risk are always in the mix. That's why a little humility goes a long way when we're plotting our financial paths. Happiness isn't a paycheck. So what's the point of all this money chasing? Happiness, right? But here's the twist. Piling up cash doesn't guarantee it. Housel says the real key is control over your time. Doing what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want. Studies back this up. Having that freedom beats out a fat salary or a big house every time. We're richer than ever, but so many of us trade away our time for it. It's like pouring water into a bucket with a hole. No matter how much you add, it leaks out if you can't enjoy it. True wealth isn't just about the dollars. It's about the freedom they can buy. The power of tail events. Ever heard of Heinz Bergeron? He fled Nazi Germany, landed in America, and became an art-dealing legend. He scooped up piles of paintings, Picasso, Matisse, you name it, and sold part of his collection for over 100 million euros in 2000. His secret? He didn't pick winners every time. Most of his art wasn't worth much, but a tiny handful turned into masterpieces. That's a tail event, when a few big successes outweigh a ton of flops. It's the same deal with venture capital. Most startups tank, but the rare unicorn makes up for it all. Or look at Amazon. Amazon Prime and AWS are the tail events that dwarf flops like the Fire phone. Jeff Bezos gets it. He's fine with big failures because he knows the 1% that hits can change everything. So maybe we should ease up on perfection and play the long game instead. Rich versus wealthy. Here's a big one. Being rich isn't the same as being wealthy. Rich is what you see. Fancy cars, diamond rings, first-class tickets. Wealth is what you don't see. Savings, investments, the money you haven't spent. That Lamborghini driver, they might be drowning in debt. True wealth takes restraint, saying no to the flashy stuff so your assets can grow. It's invisible, which makes it tough to copy, but it's what lasts. Next time you're tempted to judge someone's bank account by their lifestyle, remember, the real story's hidden beneath the surface. Paying the price. Investing's like climbing a mountain. You set out for the peak, knowing you'll hit rain, rocks, maybe a tumble or two. You don't expect an escalator to whisk you up. You accept the struggle as the price of the view. But with the stock market, people think they can skip the hard part. You can't. Want 11% annual returns like the Dow Jones, average from 1950 to 2019? You got to stomach the wild swings, high highs, low lows. Try and time it perfectly, dodging every dip is like stealing the reward without paying the cost. It doesn't work. The price isn't just money. It's the emotional roller coaster of uncertainty. Embrace it, and the ride's worth it. Enough is enough. Finally, let's talk about the hedonic treadmill. You hit a goal, say $1 million, and instead of celebrating, you move the finish line to 2 million. It's a trap. Look at Bernie Madoff or Raja Gupta, ultra-wealthy guys who had it all but crashed and burned chasing more, even turned to crime. Without knowing when enough is enough, you're on a ladder with no top, exhausted and never satisfied. The real win is figuring out you're enough, stepping off the treadmill, and enjoying what you've got. That's where happiness hides. So, there you have it. Money's complicated because we're complicated. It's not just about what we know. It's about how we act, shaped by our past, our fears, and our dreams. Understanding this psychology might just help us make smarter moves and maybe even find a little peace along the way. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'd love to hear your own money stories. What shaped your financial DNA? Drop me a message, and I'll catch you in the next episode.